Do we, is the
hi.
did the tweet go live?
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, what do you want?
Welcome to episode 14. 14 feels right.
Sure.
I feel like it's 14. I think it's 14. Welcome to episode 14 of the Zero Strategy Podcast. We hope you're all well and keeping safe. We got lots of Twitch stuff to talk about today. First of all, I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts, the Cyber Project. We're joined by Just Grog,
Hello.
Sir Humps,
Hello.
and the Mighty Kibbles.
Hello.
So as we always do, we like to start off with a brief catch up with everybody, find out what's been going on for the last week. So, Cyber, what have you been up to?
I've been dealing with my mum buying a 65-inch TV, and I'm not happy about it. I think it's like it's
jealous?
just dumb. I'm not jealous. It's too fucking big.
It is not too big. That's
see- you
what
see
I
when
have,
you-
and it's
you see-
fantastic.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Yeah, but what you have to appreciate is UK houses are so much smaller
Yeah,
than American houses.
which
I
means
sit,
it basically looks like a home theater. I
Yeah, but
support her decision.
when I
Yeah.
have to do this to see either side of the fucking no,
Fantastic.
Respect the drip,
Absolutely.
Karen.
no, it's not happening.
Respect the drip. Get out of here.
Apart from that, playing Warzone since fucking Valorant's down.
I miss it already.
Me
I
too.
miss it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Did you see the new character?
For Valorant, yes. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, so
I'm so
excited.
happy. So
happy.
excited.
Grog, what have you been up to this past week?
I've been streaming as per usual. Been having a lot of fun still in Warzone. Did some more Star Wars middle of the week. I'm looking forward this week. I think it's actually my wife's idea. I think on Tuesday into Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour stream. It is my 1 year Twitch anniversary. So 1 year
Nice.
to the day that I was broadcasting on Twitch. Started on the couch. Now I'm here.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
It's a new song.
All right, Humps, what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. As some of you know, my wife took the kids to visit her mom. So that's it. I've been streaming, been playing a little bit more Destiny lately, just some quick play comp helps, just keeping the aim fresh for when everything gets all better, as we all hope it will be.
Yup.
A lot of Warzone. Warzone's feeling good. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better. Sniping's getting a little stronger. Made a couple tweaks to my loadouts for that reasons, and I don't know, it's feeling pretty good if I do say so myself.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And Kibbles, what have you been up to?
Warzone. A lot of Warzone.
You see the same thing every week.
Yeah.
Yep, it's only Warzone now. Yeah, it's just Warzone and videos. I actually recorded one with Grog this week.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
All right, can't wait to see it. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been much the same since Valorant went away. It's been
When does it come
Warzone
back?
Tuesday.
Soon. Yeah,
yeah.
it's very,
But
very soon.
I'm torn because I have a feeling new stuff's gonna start happening in Destiny this coming week,
Yeah.
and also Valorant's back, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So, but I do
I'm
think
not
I'm
gonna lie.
Easy.
I feel like at this
decision.
point, anything that I have missed or I'm not up to date with in Destiny, I can just turn to our buddy Bubbles and just ask him any question, and he will have all the answers for me, and I'll be immediately back where I need to be.
Yeah,
in terms of
true.
having a frame of reference for everything.
Yeah,
You
pretty
hear that,
much.
chat? Find the nerd in your community and mine them for all the data they're worth.
Yeah, well, so we got a couple interesting topics to talk about this week. I've been asking people constantly, like, what do you want to know about? What do you want to talk about and get our kind of thoughts on? So one of the ones we want to talk about this week, first one is emotes, which is something that you can have once you get affiliated on Twitch. Obviously, if you're on Twitch, emotes are a huge part of the culture of of Twitch chat. And yeah, we just want to kind of go over our thoughts on what a good emote is, what things you need to be aware of, what are the potential pitfalls of getting emotes made. So does anyone want to give us a kind of a brief rundown on what you need to be thinking about? You just get affiliated, right? You can have, what is it, 3 emotes? straight off the bat?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Right. So what do you
can
do?
you? I thought
Well,
I thought it was.
well,
It's 3.
technically 5.
Well,
Well,
5,
3,
yeah,
but
5.
5 because you
Tier
get the
2 and
tier
3.
2 and tier 3. as
Right.
well.
Okay. So you start with 5 if you include the tier 2 and tier 3. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, first of all, I don't even know where to start. This is a big topic with emotes. I mean, so my experience with emotes a little bit. I had kind of scuffed emotes for a while, for a long time, until I found somebody who was better at art than me that could make decent looking emotes.
So the little girl down the street, got it.
I'm
The
bad at
finger
art.
paintings.
I can't do drawings, but like, hey, maybe that's a market I haven't gone into, like Microsoft Paint emotes. Maybe that would be a good thing. But somebody tell me, why are emotes important? Why is it important to have emotes for your channel?
That's
I mean-
a loaded question.
Yeah, well, I think it means different things to different people. I think that if anyone is plugged into Twitter and has been privy to the conversations that took place this last month, emotes were a really big topic of discussion. I think that for some emotes, people look at emotes as a means for advertisement. You know, it is a vehicle for representing a channel. And for some people, they look at it as, you know, you use emotes in one location or another, and it's a way to rep yourself for good or for bad. You know, some people have hot takes on like you shouldn't use emotes in other people's channels, or you know, like you should only use emotes for that channel, in that channel, that kind of thing. But pushing all of that to the side, it's just a means to um, show how you want to represent the channel in terms of like either how serious or how fun you want to come off as, and at the same time, it's going to be a um, point of attraction for people, because some people will genuinely sub to a channel because they like the emotes. Or if it comes down to I can support 2 creators, which one am I going to support? Maybe the person with global emotes that you can use across all of Twitch, across the entire platform. Maybe that's the one that they're going to go with. It could come down to something as basic as that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would I mean? What were your like first emotes, Cyber? If you can think back, what did you go for at first?
I can't even remember. I think it was actually text emotes. So obviously my community would say certain things in the chat, and then I built an emote based around that. It was almost like an extension of the community. But I mean, you know me, I change shit all the time.
Mm.
So I think one of the biggest pitfalls that an affiliate has is, right, I've made it, I need emotes. I'm gonna spend a shitload of money on like commissioning somebody to try and represent like 3 to 5 emotes, and you can guarantee that they're going to change them within a month. Like I feel like an affiliate jumps too quickly and doesn't let them like come naturally.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, that's again the kind of the point I'm trying to think of from the perspective of, you know, you've just made affiliate, you have no idea where to start with your emotes, you know. So for me, I wanted to kind of, it took me a long time to kind of get there, but I wanted it to be an extension of my brand, right? So my emotes are mostly just like a cartoon version of me, the big beard, and like, you know, some in jokes, right? That's the thing. It's the memes of your community. We have a mint chocolate emote because I hate mint chocolate. You know, we have a whiff emote because for some reason people think I miss my super in Destiny and I'm bad at games. So like we have these emotes, right? So, you know, do you think it's better to maybe wait till you come up with that perfect thing, or, you know, throw just if you get an idea, just throw it at it, see what sticks? You know, what's your kind of strategy on that?
I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Really, do you wait to do emotes? It could potentially be a year down the line, and you've got no emotes on your channel, or do you take the leap, get some done, and then potentially change them in a month, 2 months, a year, or whatever? Personally, from me, I think you should always have at least one emote in every single slot, and then have like a backup idea to kind of work in your head and try and figure that out over the coming weeks. And then if you feel like the emote that you've got in there is working, leave it. Don't ever change it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think,
so sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think Addy in chat has a really good point. They're a solid investment. Like, if you get a really good emote done up front, especially if they are like on your brand or around a theme, if they, because they're so small and because they're so simple, if you invest the money up front and the time to get it right, you pick a theme that works for you. Those are things that you don't have to worry about fixing and changing like constantly. I feel like a lot of people will go through changes where they start out with their overlays looking like this, and then they go to that, and then they make this change or that tweak. Not to say that you can't do that with the same frequency with emotes, but if you are not someone who's um, artistically motivated to do it yourself,
Like
um,
Cody.
I mean, like, well, like for example,
Motivate
like
is the
Cyber,
wrong word. Talented.
Cyber, you love to tinker. You love to tinker, right? So, like, I know that
Every
you
day.
could make a set of emotes, and then you could make a new set of emotes, and then you could make a new set of emotes, and you could do that every month. But the thing is that, like, for most people, what's going to be within their wheelhouse is maybe to make small tweaks to their overlays, whereas emotes are not going to be a thing that are going to be easily changed, and they can be an extremely important investment up front if you're going to spend money on anything. There's so many free overlays, but free emotes, you need your shit to be unique. It needs to stand out. It needs to be original. Um, there are so many easy ways to make emotes. Plenty of people will just take a small picture and like crop it down, and it'll just be like one of my favorite emotes from a channel is just like there's a seal, but the seal's just kind of like got this dumb look on its face, and it's like it's just from a meme, but like that's fine. But I mean, there's no telling that somebody else won't also take that same idea. If you have an original piece, that's really gonna make your brand stand out more. So I think they're a good investment.
Yeah.
I think you said the right word, original. I think if you can try
Yeah.
and find emotes that completely fit your brand, you can never go wrong. Like, don't just throw emotes out there and expect your community to like them.
Sure. So that's, I think, again, if we really boil it down, you have to remember that that is one of the benefits that people get for subscribing to you, right? And obviously, you have full control of what benefits you give to your subs versus non subs, but emotes are like a platform level. You subscribe, you unlock the emotes for that channel. Obviously, there's other ways with channel points, things like that. But, I still think if you have the option to have at least one or two emotes, you should have them rather than have nothing, because it gives that person something back immediately when they subscribe, or they're, if they're gifted a sub, they can take part in it, they can have their emotes as well. And you do see all the classics, there's like the, yeah, I think if you're really struggling, you can always go for the hype or the love emotes, or anything like that, because they're gonna be widely used. And I'd like to think I've got like a balance with mine, because we've got like our Condi love emotes for like maybe if we raid someone. We've got like the like the sipping tea one, like for like there's a bunch of emotes, but then also like I feel like the whiff emote could work in a lot of different like Destiny channels. It would be sort of relevant. The thing I always think of is Grog, when I like originally when we first met as well, there was a lot of I think it's Sheik's emotes that you would use, Destiny Fun Police,
Yes.
because they're a bubble. And most Destiny players are going to recognize what that is immediately, right? So it works across a lot of Destiny channels because it's Destiny related. So having it based around a game is also a good idea, because it helps people to actually relate and understand that emote. Um, but yeah, it's obviously is a tough question. Um, so I mean, I was lucky Cyber made emotes for me at first, and then since then
They were probably shit.
no, I mean I still have one of your
This
emotes.
was years ago.
I'm still using it to this day. But I went to a designer for like, most recent ones, who did a good job. Where would you recommend someone's looking if they're trying to get some emotes done?
I'm gonna recommend Fiverr. There's so many talented artists on Fiverr that can, like, if you've got a price range between, I don't know, say $20 and $2,000, you'll find somebody that fits within your style, and you can get pretty much exactly what you want.
Yeah.
I would say too. I did my own emotes, but when I was thinking before I did it, I was actually thinking of doing this where I almost reached out to people whose channels had emotes that I liked and be like, hey, what artist did you use? Because I mean, the thing is, I ended up doing that for my alerts,
Mhm.
where I looked at channels where I really appreciated the artwork, and I figured out that they all had a common link, and then I was like, oh well, if they're all using the same artist, and I really love this guy, like this is the person I want to work with, and I just need to find out if it's within my means. You could do the same thing with emotes. If there's a channel that you love, you know, ask the person who does the channel. I mean, the thing is that some folks might hear that and think like, oh, isn't that like a little like too personal a question or something like that? But like honestly, I don't know why anyone who wouldn't want to give you that information, because you figure if someone asked me, oh, who made this for you? If I love the shit out of it, I'm going to be so eager to tell you because I want to send work back their way. Like I want to make sure that that person not only gets the credit, but also like I want to steer more people towards them because I liked working with them. I don't think it would be a weird question for you to ask of a creator, hey, I noticed that like of your emotes, like one of these is like an older one, but these new ones, like who did those? They're super hot. Chances are they're not going to care, and if they do, so what? You just ask the question. But
Yeah.
that could be a way too. And I feel like Twitter is. I mean, a lot of content creators are on Twitter for various platforms: YouTube, Mixer, Facebook Gaming, Twitch, etc. And like all of these platforms usually incorporate emotes in some way, and chances are somebody is out there retweeting somebody's work or retweeting an emote giveaway, or you've seen somebody like hype their latest emote, and then just take note of the creator and try and touch base with them one on one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing, I mean, if you remember the old days when there was no affiliates, it was just partners. Um, it obviously wasn't really a huge thing, but when affiliate got brought in and they allowed people to have emotes, like the whole industry just sort of blew up of Twitch art. And there's so many, like, that I could name off the top of my head of people I know that are known for doing great work with emotes and stuff. Twitter is a fantastic place to go. I mean, I feel like it was a really easy thing to jump into because so many people we're hitting affiliate and we're needing artwork done, that it was just easy to kind of fill that gap and be like, yep, I can do that. I can make art. I'm useless, right? I couldn't do it to save my life, but there's so many people that are able to fill in for that and take over. I think it is important as well to say that good emotes can really help your channel grow as well. I mean, who was it? Was it Admiral Baru? Everybody knows his emotes, right? Everybody knows his emotes. The pandas, super popular. Exactly, right? Exactly. You don't even necessarily know the name off your head, but you know the emotes because those emotes just blew up. They were so popular, and I guarantee you there's people who are subscribed to him that didn't really even watch probably for those emotes because I see them in my chat constantly. They're everywhere because they're damn good emotes. I mean, Kibbles will maybe remember there was he found a channel that had a moth emote, and Kibbles started gifting my chat subs to that channel so they could spam moths at me. What, like, that person with that emote must have been like, what is going on here? But that's, again, it's an emote that I don't know if any of those people went and checked out that channel, but they might have, and it's pretty, it's an important thing. I think emotes are really, really useful and relevant. I mean, do you guys use Better Twitch TV for any additional emotes on your channels?
Sometimes it depends. Like every bot that I've got just kind of freaks out if I even go anywhere near them.
So if you don't know, Better Twitch TV and Frankerface is these are like emote well, they're extensions that you can add into your browser that give you extra emotes and stuff that work on Twitch. So if you don't have those, you're just gonna see people spamming like words,
The text
that doesn't make sense. But what you can do,
together.
you can add extra emotes to your channel that are just available, that then people that get you over that limit of having 5 emotes or whatever. So I mess around with them a little bit. I need to actually go and do more and add more stuff in there, but that's another cool way you can add some more.
That's on my to-do list.
Yeah,
I
same.
need to write this shit down.
The other thing to keep in mind is that you can use these in like your Discord and stuff as well. You know, a lot of these emotes can be transferred over and used in other places, so it's a good idea to kind of keep them up to date. I mean, anyone else have any thoughts on, like, you know, branding around games, branding around your channel? What would be your kind of thoughts on that?
I mean, if you have the ability, it'd be great if you can, like, especially if you're like a multi-game streamer, to have emotes that kind of correlate with the different games you play. I mean, really just emotes that just kind of, even finding emotes that just represent you or just represent things you like, or maybe even just kind of an aspect of your channel, like, you know, you have your whiff emote and stuff like that. But I mean, you don't have to, like, you can spend money and it is a great investment, but you also don't have to spend hella money. Like, take mine for instance. They were free. I didn't design them. They are Bitmojis. I just logged onto Snapchat, found a bunch of Bitmojis of me, took a
I thought
picture,
you were gonna
took a
say
screen.
something else there.
No, just took a screenshot of an enlarged picture I took. You know, took a picture of myself, blew up the emoji, and then like transferred it over my computer and just cut it out. That's what I did.
Easy.
And they look like me. I mean, as close as a Bitmoji can. They work for now. They're not. I don't know exactly what I have specifically planned for emotes. I kind of like the idea of emotes not necessarily looking like you necessarily. Maybe I mean, that's just maybe for like my channel, I guess. But I don't know what it is yet. So they work for now.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying.
I like feel what you just said, because I originally had like all of my emotes looking like me, and I don't know, it frustrated the shit out of me that it didn't look perfect, and it's probably the tinkering aspect of me like changing overlays and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that made me go towards the ferrets, because I knew for a fact that if I could get them right the first time around, I knew I wouldn't go anywhere near them. Like, that's perfect. I can leave that. What was that?
What I so my thoughts
so
to
there's no answer.
Grog's just
my
like,
initial thought.
There's just
with
my
it-
dog running downstairs.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so my initial thought, and I guess this is kind of controversial given the drama that was happening with emotes last week, but I always wanted to try and strike a balance of have an emote that works with your community. If you've got an in joke, if you've got some sort of you know, meme that you've created or has happened in your chat specifically, have an emote that goes along with that so that it can be used and people can enjoy seeing that happen in the chat. But I feel like having a good universal emote that you could use anywhere would also be a great, like, you know, marketing, although I don't really think of it that way, but like, you know, having recognizable emotes. And, you know, the idea, the dream is to see your own emote in someone else's channel and be like, oh, holy shit, that's so cool. And have someone, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I see an emote and I'll hover over it, be like, oh, that's really cool, what channel is that from? And, you know, I can, you know, it catches your eye. So I always thought that I was cool. Now obviously there's the whole issue of is using your own emotes in someone else's chat. Like, I have no issue if someone else spams somebody else's emotes. I have no issue if you spam your own emotes in my chat, but some people do. So it's kind of a tough one. Was it Dolly that, I don't know if he has this emote. I don't want to totally ruin his idea if it is him actually. But he thought of a very good space in the market, if you will, right? Where he thought, well, I haven't seen any emotes like this, and this is something that could replace something that's typed in chats quite frequently. And he thought, here's a good emote that, oh yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, good, I'm not ruining it. So the emote that Grog's just put in chat with the big, like, you know, those big like gloves, is it like a
finger?
yeah
Big, yeah.
and that's
like,
the
we're
kind
number
of,
one. We're number one.
well, I always thought it's good to replace the, you know how people do the little point to when they say, like, when they see something that they agree with, right? Replace it with that emote. Fantastic idea, because it's just a nicer way of getting that message across, something that's used in chat already. So I think something like that is great because it can be used anywhere, and it just helps to sort of, I don't know, have an emote that is used. I mean, I've got emotes that I know don't get used as much, and I want to swap them out, but I just can't think of what to replace them with. So it's a constant kind of back and forward to decide what you want to do with them. It is also worth noting that I did a bit of research, And as our discussion last week about copyright, it does also apply to emotes. So you got to be careful with that. You can, I believe, you can get DMCA'd on an emote.
Yes.
So
Oh, if you
Okay.
had like
It
a,
has happened.
I don't know.
if you
Like
got like a
what?
character from a game, or I guess a game probably is not gonna. It's tough to say, right? But like if you have something that's maybe like a character from a movie or a show as an emote, in theory, yeah, it's still subject to copyright. So you could be hit with the DMCA for that, which is interesting. I looked up somebody sent me about the TOS that kind of covered it. I don't know how often this actually happens, but it is something to be aware of if you're like maybe paying for emotes or you're spending a lot of time on them. Something to be aware of is that it could be subject to copyright.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
that
can
popped
actually
up, oh, sorry. That popped up when channel points became a thing because you can do the custom things for it.
Yeah.
And I was reading over all the rules for it, and they covered that, and it's like, oh, it falls under the same rules as the emotes, and it's like, wait, huh?
you can strip it back. So let's say if somebody steals one of Summit 1G's
Mhm.
emotes, he can do a DTMA on you.
Yeah.
DMC, whatever the fucking acronym is.
YMCA?
A YMCA.
Like
yeah.
it can go as far as if I see it and I can find a company that could represent me, I could do a strike on someone's channel if they steal my emotes. Like it can go that far.
I've
So
seen it.
it's-
I've seen it happen. I had a friend of mine that got an emote made. That was it was made by an artist for him, and it was a kind of a video game character for a game that he played a lot. So it made sense in the context of his channel. And then he just randomly came across somebody using basically the exact same, like it was the same emote but with something added to it. And I think he did actually direct message them and ask like where they got it and stuff. I'm not sure how that ended, but yeah, somebody basically just took the exact same emote that it couldn't possibly be a template because he got an artist to make it. So yeah, you got to be careful for that because it's an important thing.
Well, another thing you need to be careful about is some of these artists. I know one of my old bands back like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, we had an album cover made, and it turns out that they ripped most of it from a template and then just
Mm.
added stuff to it. I saw the exact
Yep.
same design on a shower curtain on Amazon years later.
Jeez.
Did you buy it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's one of the things that you need to think about a lot of these artists. Grog is one of the better examples in my like opinion where he researched it a lot and he didn't just jump the gun and say I want you to make emotes for me. He like looked at a lot of the content and saw like all the new pieces and then approached them. One of the biggest things that a lot of like cheap artists will do is rip things, change it ever so slightly, and throw it out. It will be on a template. So you do need to do your research. Well, you don't, but my biggest advice is do your research on your artist before you even go anywhere near them. Even if it's like over a 2 hour period where you look through all the stuff that they've got. You do your research. Otherwise you may come into one of these strikes in the future.
For sure. And it does help to have a read through the TOS and things. I mean, I don't know when the last time any of you guys uploaded an emote was, but they have to be manually approved by Twitch because, you know, they're
Takes
not
fucking years.
yeah, they don't want anything up there that could be problematic, so they have to check them, and depending on the volume of people uploading emotes, that takes longer. I believe that's why, if I'm not wrong, I believe one of the things with partnership is you could just upload emotes and they're approved immediately. Whereas for affiliates, they have to be checked. So I think I waited like 3 weeks one time, and that's a little bit frustrating too because I wanted to swap because I've got tier 2 and tier 3 emotes that really don't get used. I always say people in my channel, I think for an affiliate, sometimes a tier 2 or tier 3 sub is not necessarily beneficial because you're just getting one, maybe two extra emotes for that. And I almost don't want to have emotes in those slots because it's just they're not getting used except by me. Like, but I kind of almost want to switch them around every so often so that some more of them fall into the tier 1. But then that involves having to remove emotes and re-upload them, and then you're going to go 2 weeks with no emotes potentially.
Well, yeah, they really need to do something. If you're just, especially if you're just like taking a tier 2 or tier 3 and you're just moving it down,
Just
like,
swapping
you
it.
should just be able to. You should just be like, these are your approved emotes. These are the slots you
Yep.
currently have them in. Do you want to move them around? drag and drop. All right,
Right.
those are now your that's how it
That'd
should
be
be.
super
Yeah.
easy for them to do.
Well, as Dennis mentioned in chat just now, you can unlock those emotes with channel points too.
For the tier 2 and
So
3 ones. I actually did not
yeah,
know that. Interesting.
yeah.
Well, that's good, I suppose, then.
So then, in some ways, that incentivizes also channel points as an idea, right? You know, beyond like the custom ones, beyond custom channel point redemptions, like it, because that's just a default action for channel points, gives you incentives so you can, you know, take your tier 3 and use it for 24 hours.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense then. That does kind of clarify that. Have any of you guys added any custom emotes for anything else, like for channel points, for example?
So with channel, the interesting thing is, one thing that we didn't mention is that sub badges actually don't need approval. I mean, they obviously they're still subject to the same rigors of like terms of service and being above board in terms of like acceptable content as any other emote, but you don't have to wait on those. So your sub badges you just upload and they're just there.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why the vetting process is so lengthy and thorough is that for any other kind of emote, it's global and it
Exactly.
supersedes just your channel. So now it's affecting the entire platform, which obviously they want to make sure they keep in check. With channel point redemption levels, you can have your own emote in there. Um, I presume that you have to get it vetted, but there is a series of emotes that Twitch provides that are
Yes.
just boilerplate that you can use for your own channel point redemptions with, and they go through immediately. So basically, they give you all three sizes. They give you like the 112, the 72, the 56, like whatever the pixel dimensions are. They give you the three versions of it, and then you just drop it in, and then it's done. So like I've done that for all of my channel points. So all my custom ones, instead of just like the blank white bubble, it's it is an emote. It's not mine, but it's one that
It's the
Twitch
Twitch
made,
ones.
and it
Yeah.
just makes it a little, and you can customize it. And so far as like they don't have to go with a certain category. You can, you know, one's like a bullseye, and one's like a skull and crossbones, and one's like a, you know, like a little flag. Like you can put those to any channel point thing that you want, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the actual amount of customization you can do now is quite it's quite a lot. I mean, I think you can have custom bit badges as well now.
Yep.
Have any of you done that? Because I certainly have not.
Kind of. I've got a couple of things in the works, but it's hard when you when you scale everything down. It doesn't look as good as the 112 version. So
Sure.
I'm still kind of messing around with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. So if you don't know what I mean, is once you if you cheer in a channel, you can get a badge to show that you've cheered X amount, right? And they scale up the higher cheer amounts they go. But channels can have their own unique badges for that as well. So in theory, you can have a sub badge, a bit badge, your own emotes, all these different things. I've personally felt it was a little bit just too much, particularly the bit badges, because like they're quite like a universally known thing, and I feel like I don't see custom bit badges very often.
No,
I don't know
I've
if
seen
you
it
guys
in
think
one channel so
differently.
far.
Yeah, it's a
Even,
cool
like, from
idea.
Yeah, it is, but it's too daunting to try and have everything like your emotes, your bit badges, and your sub badges all kind of link into your chat where it doesn't look, in my opinion, stupid. You know, you've got too much going on, and like you say, the bit badges that Twitch provides are universal and they look fine. I don't understand why they had to include that. I don't know if people were screaming out for it, but
Doesn't
it's
feel like they were to me. I don't know.
no. It's almost like it
Well,
was an easy thing to make, and they thought we're gonna give you this as well as like an add-on.
it's
Yeah,
a nice option to have. I agree with Cyber. I think it's maybe a bit much. It opens the door for people to just invest and spend way too much time and money developing another set of emotes that are probably not going to be seen that often, and at the same time it kind of spoils um the visual sort of like dictionary of how you read a channel, right?
yeah,
Like you know, when we think of pounds in money, you know, there is a a literal symbol that goes with that. When you think of dollars, there's a symbol that goes with that. When you think of yen, there's a symbol that goes with that. With bits, there is a whole vocabulary of symbols that go along with how many bits you've cheered. Was it 1 bit? Was it 50? Was it 100? Et cetera, et cetera. And like I think that when you start messing with that, there's nothing wrong with it, but you almost need to like invent your own symbology to like go with it, and or not. I mean, or it could just be this disjointed, like, here's a bunch of cool random emotes that I like, and I'm going to give them as bit badges. But then it kind of like then defeats the purpose of showing like someone cheered more bits than someone else.
Yeah.
I think that the language, the visual language that Twitch has in place for the colors and the shapes and the geometry of like these bit points is sensible and it works. So like, why fix it? But I mean, I do like that. I guess they give you the option if you do want to tinker, you can. It just feels like a rabbit hole that maybe isn't worth diving down. But
Yeah, I think for a brand new affiliate, it's
It's
a
a bit
scary
overwhelming.
thought to think that you've got overlays, like bit badges, emotes, sub badges,
Yeah,
all
it's a
that
lot
kind of stuff.
to think about.
And knowing what some of these artists charge just for basic emotes, and I'm not trying to like dissolve the hard work and the effort and the talent that these people have, but it's a lot of money once you accrue all of the individual things that you think you need as an affiliate.
Yeah, especially
You're
you're a
talking
brand new
hundreds of
affiliate.
dollars, like just to get started, basically.
Yeah.
It's very daunting. I'm kind of one of the lucky ones that like a lot of us can use Photoshop and just pump something out that looks pretty decent. It's a scary thought being an affiliate in this world.
Yeah, and I feel like there is a thought of, oh, I need to have this stuff immediately.
Yeah, that's what I don't really like about the bit badges. I do appreciate that it is a nice to have. If I want to change it, I can change it, but it's a scary thought.
I don't see myself ever adding custom bit badges. Honestly, I don't see it. I think
I like the ones that they've got.
yeah,
Like,
I like
think they
the
look
language
good.
of the different colors and the different shapes. I like it as it is, and I don't feel the need to do it. I would
Replace them
say
with Diablo gems, because then it follows the same little evolution of.
Because then
Yeah.
also everyone knows what it is too. I mean,
Yeah.
'cause you have
that
your
won't
own
break
custom
copyright
bit
kibbles.
badge, and they're like, oh, what's that? What's that? What'd
They're
that
just
person do?
gems.
Why did they get that badge? When if you have Twitch's bit badge, you're like, oh, I know exactly what that guy did.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
having to hover over
They
it to be like, what does this badge mean?
They can just be varying levels of excitement of your face close up.
I like it.
It's not working, Kibbles. Oh, there we go.
Excellent.
you go.
We're gonna have to go through the stream frame by frame and take those and use them.
I've already done it.
I think honestly, you're when you get affiliated, you should be looking at some emotes, just something, and I think sub badges as well. Because as much as the default sub badge is the little purple star, right? I just think people are now used to seeing custom sub badges in each channel. I think that's a kind of an overwhelming. I can't tell you the last time I was in an affiliate stream and they had the default sub badges. Not that there's anything wrong with it as well. People still know that means sub, and they've obviously added in the founder badges now.
Yep.
Which is sometimes that
The
is
first thing.
yeah. Sometimes it's weird when I go into a channel and I'm like, oh shit, did my sub run out? And then I'm like, oh no, wait, it's a different badge. That's all. It's weird, but I think like those are the more important ones. And I don't think there's any huge rush. The other thing to make aware of, and you kind of touched on it earlier, is that you do have to remember that these are going to be shrunk down, and something that's overly detailed can end up looking not very good when it's shrunk down. It might look great when you're looking at it full screen on your monitor, but when it goes down to being in a Twitch chat, sometimes simple is better. I think I've definitely fallen into that trap before where something's shrunk down and it looks so small you can't even make it out.
Yeah.
On the
I was gonna make that joke.
Nervous
But-
laughter.
I think that's one of the good things to. Thank you. Thank you. One of the good things to promote these artists, they know what looks like good shrunk down, and if you are looking at getting emotes and paying like your hard-earned money on getting emotes done, go to go to one of these artists, because some of the things that I've done, it looks amazing, and then when you shrink it down, it looks shit.
Mhm.
And you look at some of these other artists' emotes, and you go, I mean, I've done better. And then when it's shrunk down, it looks 10 times better than anything that you could have done yourself. And it's insane some of the talent that these emo artists have actually got.
For me, I think that sub badges must be, and I don't think there's a lot of musts in terms of how people do their how they do their content creation, how they want to demonstrate themselves to the world. But I do think it is a must of mine that a sub badge should be a personal uh, reference point to your channel. It should be either your logo, it should be part of your brand, it should be integral to what you represent and what you are for your channel. I think the sub badge for me needs to be that, because that is the whole point. If you throw in like a Baby Yoda meme as your sub badge, because that's what's hot right now, and change it later, I mean, sure, I guess you can, but that's just weird.
It's
Like,
confusing.
yeah, it is. It is confusing. I feel like your sub badge is perhaps your most important one, because that is the bedrock of all of your emotes, and it's not going to be an emote proper. And in fact, the size of sub badges is actually even smaller than that of the regular emotes.
Yeah.
So if you got to get one thing right at such a small scale, it really should be that one. But beyond that, what I looked to when working on my own emotes was I spent a lot of time trying to think about what I enjoyed using a lot in other people's channels, the kinds of emotes I enjoy. A lot of the ones that I enjoy tend to be kind of all purpose. Like the one that we pointed out for Dolly with the foam finger pointing up, kind of to like react to the comment above yours. That one is amazing. And he told me from the start that's what he wanted to do, because he wanted an all purpose, all accessible emote. I think that's great. I think for me though, I looked at streamers whose emotes were effective, and some of them did two things. One of them, they had a mascot. They had some sort of recurring character that was present throughout. And for me, I thought that was really neat. Like, I think Glad is a good example of that,
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Perfect example.
he's a perfect example of having a mascot. I think
Yep.
T-Rex is a really good one for like emotes of himself. I think there's plenty of creators that you could look to that have either used themselves or used a like a figurehead as a concurrent theme to just run through all their emotes. The second thing, and actually some of these just got posted in chat, are the um, sort of emotes you see everywhere, where like there's a lot of sip emotes. There's a lot of lurk emotes. There's a lot of snug, like wrapped in a blanket emotes. Um, there's definitely a sort of like common language amongst Twitch viewers and Twitch streamers, where like you see themes get recycled, and just start becoming shorthand for a mood or a feeling. And then what people will do is they'll then personalize an emote around that theme to make it theirs. So like, for example, Wizard in chat used Snug Samurai, who's a streamer who got his emotes done by Young Khan. His is him, the streamer, in wrapped up in a blanket. And Condi before that posted another one for Fitzy that is basically almost the same emote. It's different colors, different like sort of value to it, but again, it's the same aesthetic.
Mhm.
And Condi also used a bunch of sip emotes, sipping from a cup of coffee, or sipping from tea, or like drinking from a juice box. All of those things are really common, as well as Bubbles just used some that where it's multiple emotes strung together form a word. Unfortunate, or wonderful. I've seen things like that. So if you have emote slots to burn, usually you're probably a partner at that point. But some people have emotes that get strung together to form pictures. All of that stuff is pretty common, but it's different people putting their own spin on it and making it theirs. So they're taking that theme, that common theme, and then tweaking it. And I think that is successful. So for me, it was like, I want a mascot. and I want to do some riffs on some common ones. So like I have a lurk emote that I worked on that isn't available yet because I don't have the slot for it. But when I do, it's going in there, and it's like the little it's a little pumpkin peeking around a corner.
Yeah.
But there's like all these emotes that are lurk emotes like that, or where it's someone peeking over like a ledge. I think those are good places to start if you're like stuck for ideas, because it's like they're tried and true.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's gonna uh, be surprised. It's not like a that's you can guarantee that those will get used, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just the thing is people want to show off their emotes, right? And I don't necessarily mean like I want to show off my emotes that I have in my channel. I mean that I want to show off emotes of people I'm subscribed to. Like again, like the Fitz one. Fitz is a streamer I'm a big fan of, and I want to show off his emotes. I think they're cool, right? And other streamers that I watch and I enjoy, I want to use their emotes. So give people emotes that they want to use. Ask your chat if you're confused as well. If you don't know, ask them. Again, I'm in the process of changing a couple of mine based on what I can see isn't being used as often and what emotes I think people maybe want. And, I was able to talk to my community and get an idea of what they would like to see. And, it's as easy as throwing, what do you think about one of, a dab emote? And, see how people react to it. It's that simple sometimes. So it's definitely something that's important, but at the same time, if you have the option to make your own or to get emotes for free or cheap, have something there in the meantime, and then put some thought into it after to come up with something that's really, really kind of special, because you should love your emotes. The day that the artist sent over my emotes, I was so happy and so excited to get them uploaded, because I couldn't wait to show people them. And I think that's kind of how it should be for the most part.
Should be happy and proud of it.
Exactly. You want it to represent and show off your channel in a good way. Do we have any other thoughts on emotes, or do we want to move on to the other topic?
I think we've kind of said everything that needs to be said. Well, somewhat.
I mean, it's always something we can come back to. Again, as we've kind of said, Twitch is always updating the things that you can customize and add. So it's always something we can come back to. Again, I just want to maybe say, if I didn't say it already, if you're watching in the live stream, feel free to ask us questions. We do try and get to them during the discussions as we go through. Just make sure to at one of us or at the podcast, and we will try and react and discuss it. The other topic I wanted to talk about today was chatbots, which is something that almost every streamer has. It's something that I would argue is needed in a lot of channels, but it is something I've also seen a lot of people get wrong. So maybe we could start off by just briefly going around, and we can each say which bot we mainly use, or bots. So for example, I mainly use Nightbot and Moobot in my channel.
I use Streamlabs chatbot.
Yep, same.
Oh, Ankbot.
I use Nightbot for like 90% of it, and then I do use the Stream Elements bot for some of it, mostly just for like automatic notifications. Like, so if there's new follow, new sub, if I've gone live or I'm being rated, that basically kind of like those 4 key events. I have Stream Elements doing that because I just like the way I can customize the reaction to the event happening. Otherwise, I have Nightbot for like all of my like shortcut commands, where it's like exclamation point, info, or whatever it is. Nightbot handles most of that, and like the automated reminders of like, hey, have you checked out the Discord? Like those kinds of things just all go through Nightbot.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Humps?
Same thing as Grog, same percentages as well, honestly. Same thing. Nightbot, Stream Elements. It's all, like I said, 90% Nightbot for everything, and then I have Stream Elements for like the actual like notification type things.
Like alerts, almost in the chat.
Alerts and whatnot, yeah. But just for like I said, exclamations and stuff, Nightbot, I use it. I probably underutilize the bots for sure.
It's not a bad thing. I think it's better to underuse them than overuse them.
Yep. The amount of times that I've went into people's channels and the chat bot is almost saying something every second or third sentence, I feel like that's when you've hit your limit. That's when you should like tailor it down a little bit.
So okay, so let's dive into that a little bit more. So so mine is kind of varied. So I have Moobot, which does things like when someone new follows, it'll post a little thing in chat saying, "Hey, thank you for the follow. Here's a link to the Discord if you want to join." Similar things like we have Moobot and Nightbot set up for. I mean, honestly, I kind of want to move away from both of those and switch over to just one bot. In the podcast channel here, we use Stream Elements, which seems to be really good from what my experience of it. It seems to do everything I want it to do. And
Yeah, that's what I've switched to 100%.
yeah, the only reason I've not switched over yet is because I've got 3 years worth of stuff built into these other bots that is going to take a full day of moving everything to the Stream Elements bot.
Yep.
But
You'll be surprised because a lot of them have an export feature.
right, okay, for moving commands over and stuff.
Yep.
I'll maybe have
So
to have a look into it.
Yeah.
Wish
my advice.
that.
My advice is
Feels
like
I
heavily,
spent 3 weeks.
like typing them all out. I'm like,
Yeah.
I would seriously suggest like investing a lot of time in seeing if that bot does have an export feature because it saves you so much time.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mean, let's first of all just dive in. Like, what is a chatbot, and why should you have at least one in your channel?
Moderation. I think that's probably one of the key points. You can set that chatbot up to do a lot of things that you can't do while you are streaming. One of them being like notifications and like the simple stuff like timers saying, by the way, I've got a Twitter, please go and follow this. But there's a lot of things that are 100% unexpected, and that's trolls coming into your channel and saying things that you don't really want to do, or posting links that you don't really want in your chat. And for me, it's a necessity because it can instantly remove those messages. Moderation is key when it comes to bots.
Okay.
It's a great
So,
thing.
I mean, here's one of the things that, because you got to be careful with it. Nightbot, for example, I've seen this happen a lot. Nightbot starts off very aggressive with the moderation. As in, I don't know if you guys have ever raided someone that's maybe a bit newer. They've just got Nightbot. They haven't really done much with it. You start spamming your emotes, Nightbot times everyone out. You know, because it sees it as spam. It doesn't want you doing any of that, you know, anything. So it just will start timing people out. But having bots is useful for that kind of thing, for getting rid of, you know, things you don't necessarily want in chat. You can sort of blacklist words and things, although I think Twitch has quite a lot of that built in already through auto mod. One of the biggest things for me is the ability to show and to prompt people in chat that, hey, I also have a Twitter, the link is right here. Hey, I also make videos on YouTube, the link is right here. Because again, there'll be a lot of times I'm watching a stream and it'll pop up with a link to the YouTube video and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch that, click it, subscribe, whatever. It helps to show the other content that you make if you do make other content on other platforms. So and you can have these on timers. So like for Moobot, which is my one, I have it on a bunch of timers to advertise like the YouTube channel, or we have a command set up for the podcast in my channel that links the Spotify and the YouTube and the Twitch channel and all that stuff, which is very good because it saves me constantly typing it and putting it in the chat. I can just do a small command. I even have it on my Stream Deck, so I can just hit a button and the bot will post the links that I want in the chat. Very important thing. Now with links, this is the part where I'm confused because I've been having a lot of issues with it. I tried to set up Nightbot to take links out of chat because sometimes links, obviously, you got to be careful. I don't know if you guys have seen all the bots going around. I know some of you definitely have the "Do you want to be famous?" Those bots, right? So when I blacklisted links and just said no links, it would just time out those bots immediately. But what kept happening was people would come into my stream, maybe they're a new viewer, and maybe they found something. This literally happened to me a couple of weeks ago, where somebody came in, they were new, something happened on the stream, they must have thought, oh, that was funny, and they clipped it, and they just posted it in chat. First time they've ever typed in chat, they post a link. Immediately they get timed out, right? Because the bot was just like, no. Now, I didn't see it, I just saw that person's timed out. Immediately I just assumed, well, that's one of those bots, so I don't need to worry about it. But obviously for that viewer, that's a bad experience. They're not coming back.
That was my experience to your channel first time I showed up. I think for a while, I definitely had clip stuff, and for a while I was getting blacklisted like for five, like it was like 1 minute and then 3 minutes, and then Connie's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why you're getting timed out. I'm so sorry. I was just like, it's fine.
The problem I have with it is that Nightbot has a section to whitelist certain links. So
It doesn't work consistently.
It doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
I've
My
tried
advice to
every.
You need to try a new chatbot.
I'm
because
going
a
to,
lot
yes.
like
There's
the one that
a big reason I switched off Nightbot.
yep. One of the advantages of the Streamlabs chatbot is you can actually set a certain amount of either time or if somebody follows, and their designation turns from being like nothing to irregular, and then you could then set your like if they post a link and they're irregular, then it doesn't time them out immediately. But if somebody randomly comes in your channel, posts a link, they're not following nothing, then they will get timed out. It's like a nice level of moderation.
What I've done, and you need to keep up with it every couple weeks because they do change the like URLs for these spam bots. But I just go put that as a non-permitted term.
Yep.
And then it just gets automatically timed up. But
one of the
like
reasons why I
every couple weeks,
switched
you got to put a new one in there.
one of the reasons why I switched to Stream Elements is not entirely. I love Nightbot for its on the fly customization and how robust I can make custom commands and also set up like scripts on it. The thing that I liked about Stream Elements was and got me into it was the whole link issue. And so right now, like people have already said, I use Stream Elements for getting the alert notifications for like follows, subs, donos, that kind of thing. But I really did it for the links. And what I do now is Nightbot doesn't moderate the links. I had in Nightbot, I did set up a command for exclamation point links. And if someone types that, it just gives a list of all of the domains that I have whitelisted. So it's the whole domain plus any sub URL from it. So like YouTube is whitelisted. Certain Reddits, certain subreddits I've whitelisted, like Destiny related stuff. There's just like Instagram I've whitelisted, TikTok I've whitelisted, like things that are already doing their own moderation, like Twitter is whitelisted. I'm not worried about whatever is going to get linked there because that responsibility then is really on the other platform. And I know these platforms to do a pretty good job moderating.
Yeah.
So I have that, and then what happens is when someone tries to type a link that is not already permitted, it just says, "Oh, sorry, not all links are permitted here. If you want to see which links are permitted, please type this and please type exclamation point links." And what that does is it's basically Stream Elements saying, "Hey, the one chat bot is kicking in like you can't type that. I've removed the link. Here's a warning, but also here's a list of what's acceptable." Um, and then it's funny because the prompt that it gives you is it will actually trigger Nightbot. So it's one chat bot telling you, "Hey, you did something wrong." This chatbot's actually doing the moderation, and it's saying, "Hey, if you type this other command in, this other bot will tell you like the appropriate things that have been approved." Um, they can work together. You just kind of have to like think about, do you want two bots? Is it even worth it? Or if you do have two bots, you can make them work in tandem. You just got to be creative in the application of like the commands you use and how one responds to the other.
For sure. It's definitely something I want to switch over with. Like, originally, the reason I liked MooBot so much was it had so many other features built in. A lot of these bots have like games that you can play in chat, like roulette, or MooBot. I used to run all my song requests through that bot. Before I moved to all copyright-free, safe music, it was all done through MooBot. But even then, the issue I was having where sometimes you would get trolls that would request YouTube because it all ran through
Bad
YouTube
songs.
links.
Yeah.
Right, and you'd have to deal with that. And then MooBot used to let me do raffles in my chat and stuff like that. Like it was a good bot that just covered everything. But as I say, now it is mostly just the chat notifications for things and commands. So I desperately need to move away from it. My issue with the whitelisting links, I just gave up. And I just turned it off completely. So links are now permitted in my chat, and I just manually will remove stuff I'm not happy with. But It worried me when I had people coming in and trying to post clips and immediately getting timed out, because it's not nice being timed out in a channel when you've done nothing wrong. Like it's happened to me as well, where I've typed something and it's the bot's timed me out or whatever, and it's like, oh, like have I done something wrong? Like, no, you've not. It's just the bots you need to spend a bit of time getting them right, because they can sometimes hurt you rather than help you. But if you have a bot running well, it's a very, very useful thing to have. Is there anything else that you guys have done with your bots that have maybe been a bit more unique or helpful?
I had initially I had a couple like coded ones, to where like like the 8-ball, whatever, ask it a question, do the 8-ball, gives you kind of random questions, or the I may or may not have a exclamation PP size one, where it just kind of shits out a random length. But I mean, no one uses it because I don't know. I just put that on there like when I first made the channel. But I mean, yeah, you can. That's the thing, because it's all like I think it's Java based. So I mean, you can like get into it and like make like if you're good at coding, or you can just look something. You can find a bunch of. I just found that stuff on like Reddit or whatever. Just copy pasted the code into Nightbot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it can get real in depth.
Some people, one thing that some people I see do a lot is like hug, or you can do like and there's different ways to set it up. Shout outs, I think, are probably the one coded bit of chatbot usage that like almost every streamer probably uses. Anyone that has at least set up a bot should probably invest in having a shout out command if they don't have one already. And for anyone who doesn't know what a shout out command is, basically the syntax might be different in terms of how you execute it. But generally it's an exclamation point or some other punctuation followed by a code word. And then you type in the handle for a person that rated you, or maybe a person you're gaming with, or maybe a person that you just want to hype up. And it's an opportunity to pull information through Twitch's API to find out what they were playing. It can pre-fill a URL that will direct you to their channel. So for example, if I get a raid from Humps, like I can do exclamation point SO Sir Humps, and what will come through on the other end is hey, please, and I've customized the language of it, but it'll be like, please show some love and support to our birthday Humps. He was last seen playing blank. Now, I don't have to type what he was last seen playing, or I don't have to type the link for his channel. I literally have to type his name, and through the API, it'll just grab all the information that's pertinent based on criteria that was set up in the command through the bot. So the bot, I will put in the greeting, I will put in, they were last seen, and then there's other little bits of scripting that just will grab the rest for you and just fill in the blank. That kind of stuff can be amazing. I think in the non-shout out variety though, hugs I've seen people use, like you do exclamation point hug.
Yeah, I've got
I don't
slap.
know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, or slap. and then it would be like, so and so has slapped so and so, and either Nightbot or Stream Elements or whatever will like auto populate the chat with almost like a third person narrator, like describing a scene. You can do that kind of stuff too for lulz.
I've done a quote system, so anytime something funny is said in the chat or in the stream, one of my mods will go through and put it as a quote. So you can do like exclamation point quote. Spit out something random like, "Oh, I'd fuck the shit out of that robot," and it's like, where was
I was there for that day. I remember that. That was like the KFC dating game or something, wasn't it? Yes,
it could have been one of those.
It was. I'm sure I was there. It was the Colonel Sanders thing. Yeah. You can do a lot of fun stuff with bots. Like,
you can do a lot of creative stuff with bots. Like obviously, Condi, you know what like I'm currently working on just now. There's certain features that can allow you to get really, really creative with your chat and stream. There's not a lot of bots that directly allow your chat to influence your stream, but there is one that I have found recently that I'm kind of trying to work out, and it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, you can use it to also just help build community, build your brand. I mean, little things that you don't think of, stuff that I don't want to remember. What's my BattleNet ID? What's my Steam ID? I just have a little
Yes.
Oh,
command, you know,
yeah.
and it's so easy for somebody that somebody in chat wants to play. What's your ID? Exclamation point
Join
Steam.
codes.
It's there.
Yeah,
I don't have to
fantastic.
remember it. It's just there. You can send me a friend request. It's easy, right? You know, a lot of Destiny streamers will have commands for, well, what's that gun you're using? Bam. I mean, there's extensions now that show it as well, but you can have a command to be, this is the gun, this is the role, this is what I'm doing. All these different things. You have an amazing clip that you think, okay, this is great. This is a 10-second clip that really sums up my channel. You can have a bot program to pop that in the chat whenever you do a certain command. So many useful things. I mean, one of the things
Frequent questions that people ask all the time. You can
Exactly.
Yes.
just put into a night
Your
bot.
your
bot.
computer or
Yeah.
your tech specs,
Oh yeah,
your
that's
streaming
that's
specs.
always a big question. Like, oh, what are your specs? What's your DPI? What, what's your
If
sense? And so it's like,
if there's anything that you think you will be asked on a more than one time basis, that could be a recurring question in chat, from your uptime to I mean, there's extensions with various APIs where you can link into, if you're listening to music, be it say Pretzel or Spotify or whatever it may be, like you can, at the press of a button, somebody can find out what track that is. If you don't have time to check yourself, you can just say, oh, type exclamation point blank in chat and it'll tell you.
Mhm.
um if you have hype emotes, or like a hype message, either when you do really well, there's also emotes that aren't just going to be for you, in terms of being like to save you time. So like Connie might say, oh yeah, join me on BattleNet, type exclamation point bnet to like get my code and you can join me. That's kind of like on him to remember to tell the user. But then there's also some channel prompts that like are almost universal. A lot of people have like a hype emote or a sub hype emote, and you see these as trends. So people will do exclamation point sub hype in a chat. They've maybe never been there before, but if they want to be encouraging, you can type that, and if depending on how much forethought the streamer put into it, they can execute emotes without actually having to know that they're there.
Mhm.
And that happens all the time. And it gives some latitude for the viewer to also have some agency in the channel. And you can set cooldowns for these as well, which I don't think we mentioned, is that a lot of these you can have a threshold for, it can't be redeemed more than X number of times in X number of seconds. So it
Yep.
can't be spammed. And that is also set limiters for these things, because if you don't want people to be spamming hype like 40 times in 40 seconds, or maybe you do. I mean, maybe you do and you don't care.
Each to
But
their own.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mold it to your channel. So Britt in chat has asked, what about things on timers to remind people to like drop a follow, things like that, right? So again, speaking from my experience, I use Moobot for this, and I have a short little thing saying, if you're enjoying the stream, don't forget to follow, right? Which I do think is important because it's very easy to forget, particularly if you're like in Discords where somebody sees your name in Discord and clicks on your link a lot. I've had people that I've been watching that I forgot to follow because I just come to their link through Twitter or Discord and I just see them live there rather than go to my, because I very rarely go to my follow page on Twitch because there's so many people there. I'll see them on Discord or I'll see them on Twitter and I'll pop in. So it's easy to forget. So I think as long as you've got commands like that, make sure the timers aren't too aggressive. Mine maybe could be toned down a little bit because I do see sometimes they post a lot. But like with Moobot, for example, you can set it to it has to be X amount of minutes and also X amount of lines in chat between messages. So you could say, well, I want it to post every 25 minutes, but say you've got no one in your chat. You don't want the bot to just be posting every 25 minutes because then you've just got multiple of the same thing in chat over and over again. You can set it, well, I want it to be 25 minutes, but if those 25 minutes pass and there hasn't been a minimum of like 10 other comments in chat, it won't post until you get those 10. So then that way it's not intrusive, it's not taking over the chat, but it's still just posting those little reminders. I've got one for YouTube on a timer, and I've got one for just like follow the channel because I want people to go and see the YouTube side of things, and I also want to just give people that reminder every so often that, yay, click the heart, So I think that's a good thing. Do any of you guys do similar stuff? Like you have commands on timers?
the only one I have is I think the only one I have on a timer is just like a water, drink water or
Hydrate.
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 I think it just says hydrate. I mean, let's be honest, mine's never water. But it's even kind of a little wonky because like I need to go back and I like delved into like the bots when I first kind of started, but like I haven't been back in a while because I was like, it's working.
Same.
But I need to
yeah.
like kind of revisit some things because like specifically the hydrate one, like it's just on the top of the hour every hour. So I could start my stream half till, or 5 minutes till the top of the hour. And then at the top of the hour, it's like, you've been streaming an hour. You should hydrate, yo. And like, I'm like, no, I haven't, Nightbot. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same position. I need to go back and revisit them. But I think, yeah, as long as you're careful, because I have seen streams with maybe less chat interaction happening where there is just a bot just constantly posting in the chat. And even if you've got a good timer on it, I've been there as well. I definitely was like that. And it took a while to get that timer right and to work out what's too much. The thing is with mine as well is that, like, maybe I've got like a Twitter command and I've got a Discord command and those things. But like the YouTube one, like I like to post and tell people about my YouTube a lot. So I've got a button on the stream deck that starts the command. But sometimes what will happen is I'll hit the button, the bot will post the YouTube thing, and then the timer will kick in immediately after and it posts it again. And I get that quite often where it doubles up. So it's just kind of working out those little kinks with it here and there to get it exactly how you want. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think those timer bots are very useful.
And if you do have multiple things set up like Twitter, YouTube, and all that, make sure that you're setting them far apart from each other as well. So it's not just every hour there's a wall of
Yes.
bots.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got mine set for like 35 minutes and then 45, and then this one's on the 55, and then just kind of trickle in.
Spreads them out, yeah.
In addition to all of that, which I do the same, I think it's also helpful to have or maybe work into, like, if you have a semi-frequent prompt that shows up every half hour or every so many lines of text, throw in perhaps reference to a command that has just a list of all your other commands. Like, so I have !help. Like I have my, thanks for checking out the channel. If you have any questions, let me know. Or, if you're looking for other commands, type !help. And that shows up every so often. And when people do dive into it, they realize like how much thought I've put into these commands. Like I have a !what? Like, like what's the channel about? Like, who am I? Anything you want them to know. People won't know what the command is unless you give them access to it. So even just having a command that can be a reference point for other commands so that people can, and you can break them into categories too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you type !help in mine, it'll show you like !channel, !tools. Channel will give you a series of prompts that all will be related to who, what, when, where, why, how, like what about me and pertaining to the channel, what games am I playing. And then tools is just like the uptime and like follower period and like all of that stuff, more of the nuts and bolts of like sort of accessory tools that aren't specific to the channel but are part of the whole process. Having those kinds of reminders in there can be nice because you can nest them all within one another, and it can all start with just a single command that just gives them an opportunity to then see a list of other commands that they could explore.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is if you've got a bot set up correctly, it can help you with a lot of stuff that you want to do with your channel. I mean, people will do a lot of commands for raffles. Like how I kind of started on Twitch was doing Trials of Osiris help with people, and we would have a raffle to try and make it fair so that, okay, we're going to bring another person in, everyone type raffle, the raffle picks somebody randomly and they get to play, right? It's a fair way of doing it. What I do now, and this all started, I did a stream where we were doing 1v1s against people in chat, and I thought before that stream I was like, okay, how can I set this up? What would be a good system? A good system would be to have a queue that's all managed through a bot. So I had commands set up to open up a queue, so I can just type !open or whatever, and it opens a queue. Then people type !join, they get put into a queue in order, and the bot keeps that on track, I can close it with a command, so it saves it, and then once I was done with a 1v1, type exclamation point next, and it brings up the next person. It'll tag them in chat, say this person's next in the queue, and that way you've got people lined up. And it's a command that I've used a few times since, but I set it up specifically for that stream, and it's ended up being quite useful for anything where people are sort of taking turns to jump in your chat. You can have a queue, and without that, I mean, I would have to, I guess, like write down like who, in what order is everybody waiting to go, and it keeps people,
Next up, we have Slayer 69.
it keeps people like motivated in a way to go like, okay, well, I know I'm next in the queue, so I'll maybe hang around and jump in. It's interesting to kind of use bots in that way. So while they can be, negative, I mean, just for fun, right? Can you think of anything that you've maybe seen somebody set up a bot that was not so good? Like, so for an example, I once opened up a stream and the bot immediately called me out without me typing anything in chat. I joined the stream and the bot went, "Welcome, Condyfly, to the stream. Make sure you follow." And I was like, "I've only been here 2 seconds. And I didn't type anything in chat." Like, it's stuff like that. The bot is just immediately calling lurkers. Have you seen anything similar, maybe, or anything like that you think is maybe not a good idea?
I haven't seen that on Twitch. I saw that on Mixer a lot. It used to whisper you constantly as soon as you came in the chat, like, "Oh, make sure you interact with the chat. We've got these amazing things. We've got a giveaway, blah blah blah." And it's like, it's one of the most off-putting things ever. But one of the biggest issues that I see with primarily new streamers is having the timers set wrong, which we've kind of already covered. Making sure that the timers don't spam constantly, and it's just off-putting to see. It almost, if you can spend the time to learn the actual bot that you've got, it shows a level of like professionalism, and it makes me want to stick around. Like, if I see someone's bot doing what it should be doing, I'm like, this guy put like a decent amount of time and effort to make his stream right. Let's keep watching, and then that potentially leads into a follow, potentially leads into a sub. I think it's one of the key things, not to have your chat just
filled
spammed with random, yeah.
I think so. I mean, obviously, the over kind of over chatting of bots. I also and I know I'm guilty of this. Is having multiple bots is a problem that I need to fix, because it's just like Hump said. I set it up when I started streaming, and I haven't touched it since, pretty much. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I manually went in and added a command, because mods will be able to do that through the chat as well. But like, sometimes you can have a command that triggers multiple bots, and it's a nightmare. Like, I hate that in my own chat, and I need to fix that. But I mean, bots, I think the thing to remember is that bots can be too aggressive with moderation, and you don't need it, especially if you're new. A lot of time you can moderate your own chat, and having a bot there to, as somebody was saying in chat earlier, and as I was saying, to time out people that maybe put the same emote 3 times in a row for spamming, I don't think that's needed, personally. I mean, you run your channel the way you want to run it, but I think often less is more with the bots. Start off very basic and build it up over time.
I personally don't see there being an issue with having 2 bots or multiple bots, because sometimes the features that you have on those 2 bots aren't compiled into one. So I genuinely wouldn't see that as like you doing yourself a disservice because you've got multiple bots, because the bot that I've got just now can't do what I needed to do, and I've employed like another bot to try and do that, so I can like understand the frustrations. But the like, to touch on what you were talking about with moderation, it's set to the highest point. Like, as a default, you need to spend that time and go into it, and like understand how you want your community to be moderated, because it will, if you say the wrong thing instantly, if it's on the default setting, you will get timed out. Like, it doesn't matter what bot it is, but it's set up that way so that you physically need to go in there and take that care and attention to kind of tailor it down a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot to be said. Like, obviously it's very important that you as the streamer understand your bot and what the commands are going to do, what the bot's going to react to. I mean, I can't tell you that it's so frustrating. This whole issue I had with trying to whitelist links, every time I did it and I thought it was working, and then I go live and it times someone out for something I don't want. It's the most frustrating thing, especially when you're live. I think there's a lot to be said as well about also communicating that with any moderators that you do have in your channel. You know, if you've got a new command, it's worth maybe just letting them know. It's worth letting them say, well, like, you know, okay, if somebody's asking a question, you know, oh, hey, do you have a YouTube channel? Instead of the mods having to go, oh, yeah, you can find it, which is great. It's handy for them to also know, oh, I can just do this command and the bot will just do the rest of the work for me. So I think it's important that they kind of, you work together with your mods to create your commands with your bots and see it. And sometimes, again, like you say, your mods or your chat or your community can tell you what they want and what they don't want. And you can kind of build it around that way.
I'm so sorry. Chat right now is horribly unruly, and
we've lost control. We've officially lost
control. Alt F4 just broke me because I was like, what does that even mean? For those listening at home, Chat has been talking about key mapping as a means for sexual metaphors, and it just got really funny.
Yeah, as Ginger says, perfect example here where the mods are the most out of control. We need some bots in here to deal with these mods. I mean, I think that more or less covers my thoughts on it for now, unless we've got anything else on bots.
Yeah, I would say just there's lots out there. Try to use one that has been vetted. There might be bots that claim, you know, like, oh, I've got this new feature, that feature. There is a reason why you see big names like Nightbot, like Moobot, like Stream Elements, because they're trusted and they're tried and true. Just be aware that when you make a bot part of your channel, often it requires you to log in through your Twitch account and authorize that bot to allow certain access to your Twitch page. You go to like sort of a terms of service login thing. It's just like warning you like, hey, when you allow this bot, you're allowing it access to all of this stuff. Just be mindful. You know, there's plenty of like amazing, incredible independent developers out there that are creating stuff, you know, pro bono for free. And they're doing it because they want to practice or they're looking to help the community. Just make sure that you're using one that you trust, because, you know, like with anything, don't install something that's going to have access to your channel that shouldn't. And I think probably before you branch out with something that's maybe smaller and independent and experimental, start with something that's a little you know, prescriptive and something that's been around for a bit, you know, because you can at least rely on the quality of the service that you're going to get.
Yeah. So I'm just seeing a question in chat as well. Somebody asks, is it possible to get flagged for using too many bots, or is that only for follow and view bots? So I think, yeah, it's clear that we make that distinction between, I guess, what could be seen as good bots and bad bots. So like what we're talking about is chat bots, which are bots that are designed to help you control and moderate your chat. I don't know, Twitch doesn't have an official one, do they? Because they've got their own built-in like auto mod and everything. So these things are all like third party technically, but it's actually quite interesting to think that, you know, something like Nightbot, which is so widely used, is a third party service, and Twitch doesn't directly have their own bots. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of interesting.
It's another thing that they need to moderate, control, and actually find the time to implement changes.
Yeah.
It's easier to get a third-party company that are good at this stuff just to kind of go on their own. They don't need to pay them for one.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting to see that, you know, because obviously there's, you know, other things that people use every day like OBS and Streamlabs OBS, and Twitch made their own version because obviously, why wouldn't they? Just interesting to think that, you know, do you think we'll ever one day see an official Twitch chat bot that comes in? I mean, maybe something like that is in the works. I don't know. Anyway, these bots, I mean, in theory, you can have as many as you want in your channel. It might not necessarily look good if you've got multiple bots. Like I have two, and it frustrates me so much. I'd rather just have one that keeps everything organized and neat and tidy. something like a view bot or a follow bot is a different thing. Obviously, these are bots. The chatbots we're talking about are bots in the sense of they are just literally a piece of software that's sitting and working through commands in your channel. Whereas when we're thinking of like a view bot, for example, that is, you know, fake accounts sitting and inflating your views, which is against terms of service and you shouldn't ever do.
Oh wait, it is.
Yeah. Yes. Now, it's not always, and we'll get into this because this is a topic I actually do want to discuss quite in depth next week. But the thing is, it's not always, if you see someone and you're familiar with Twitch, right? If you're very familiar and you know what's going on with Twitch, you can often tell if someone's got view bots in their chat. You know, if they've got 100 viewers but nobody at all is typing in chat. I've seen view bots that will type in chat just random things, and it's very. I got hit with somebody who hosted me once with a bunch of view bots that just started typing random stuff in chat, and it was so painfully obvious that these weren't real people. They were just trying to look like real people. And some of the bots are very clever, and they can, you know, in a big channel with hundreds of viewers, you can bump up another 100 or 200 with view bots that you might go under the radar. But you shouldn't do it. It's fake.
You should
growth.
never do it.
It's against TOS. You could get banned. But here's the other thing: people can do it to you. People can maliciously, or maybe they think they're helping. I don't know. People can view bot you, right? I've had it happen. Like I say, I got hosted with a bunch of view bots, and I just had to ban them all and try and continue on with my stream. I got hit with follow bots, where in the blink of an eye, I got 150 new followers that were all bots. They were all fake, and I had to turn off all my alerts, and I contacted Twitch immediately and said, this has happened. You know, somebody did this to me. It's not always necessarily the streamer, and I think there's a culture on Twitch sometimes of going after these people, and I've seen it happen where you're in a chat where you think, I don't think a lot of these viewers are genuine, and you see people call it out, but it might not be them doing it, and that's where Twitch gets into the difficult part, because it's very hard to tell if they're doing it themselves or they're being targeted by someone that's maybe trying to get them in trouble or whatever. So it can really happen, and yes, we're discussing obviously people that are getting hit with follow bots. It is something I want to get into a bit more in depth next week. But yes, that's a very separate thing from chatbots, and you should just understand what a view bot and a follow bot is, because it's good to know that information. And I've seen a lot of streamers that have maybe been hit with view bots that will just restart the stream to try and kick them out or whatever. But yeah, chatbots, you don't have to worry about that. You're going to be mostly fine as long as you've got them under control.
I agree. Sorry, we were talking about beauty shots, and I was like,
Yeah, I can see.
My shorts go up way too high for me to be comfortable doing that. This might go into the realm of TOS.
As long as you keep the camera where it is. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
AC just kicked on, and I was like, oh.
On that note, I think we're ready to wrap up here. So shall we go around and do our sign outs?
Yeah, actually, just before we wrap, I wanted to say one thing. Although this channel is specifically about, you know, content creation and Twitch streaming and whatnot, I just wanted to touch on recent events that have been going on, more specifically here in the United States, as it affects some of us very directly. And what I wanted to say is there's been an interesting dialogue in Twitter and online about having a visible platform and using that platform for change, or at least to call out, you know, injustice as it happens. I just want to say that with everything that's going on in the United States in particular, regarding riots surrounding the death of George Floyd, and other individuals in our communities, we do have a certain responsibility to be vocal about social injustice. And I think that a prime example for anyone who has not seen it, an excellent example of how to be an ally, is there is a clip of Dr. Lupo that went live, and he does a very, very good job as a straight white dude who couldn't be more disconnected from the plight of persons of color who have to deal with bullshit on the regular. He basically says, he introduces his name and he says he basically is trying to acknowledge that as a content creator, people to be silent in some ways is to be complicit. There is a quote that I just wanted to sort of leave with that, and this is a quote from Da Vinci. So we're going as far back as we can here. Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence. And I just think that topics that make us feel uncomfortable, obviously people want to skew away from on their channels. People want to skew away from mid chat. They don't want to talk politics. They don't want to talk religion. They don't want to talk, like gender issues. Um, I understand because those things are difficult and you don't want to polarize an audience. However, I've seen some really interesting, um, feedback recently from people that I respect online. Um, Mr. Nearest is one of them, and he's been very vocal about um, content creators speaking up or the lack thereof.
Yep.
And Ninja, I mean, I don't love the guy, but I love that he stood up, commented specifically on the arrest of Omar Jimenez and the death of George Floyd. Lance Reddick, who we all know as the voice of Zavala, um, reflected on this. I think that there is always a time and a place for politics, but the thing is that just say that because we're playing games or because this is fun and we don't want to talk about that stuff because it's too burdensome, therefore I don't have an opinion on it, is like a really privileged point of view. And I just think that for anyone who is doing content creation, when there are egregious things happening to people in our community, there needs to be something said. And if you aren't saying anything, doesn't have to be every stream, doesn't have to be every tweet. But I mean, I feel like if you say or do nothing, then you are not really letting your viewership know how you feel and where you stand. And if people unfollow you, they will unfollow you. If they support you in return, great. But people should be here for you. And if there's no reason why anyone should suppress the desire to be vocal and forthright about their convictions as it pertains to, the fair treatment of other people. If people unfollow me for that, or if people unfollow, like Lupo for that, that's on them. But they can at least go to bed knowing that they had the peace of mind speaking out and trying to support those who need it uh, now more than ever. And that goes beyond just the issues that are playing out in the United States. That's a sentiment that I would say applies to anything across the world at any time, anything that's specific to your community. So just yeah, it's that wasn't the whole point of the chat today. I felt like I wanted to say that because it's
It needed to be
it's
said.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I just want to add, I mean, Grog covered, I mean, I think he mirrors and is on par definitely with the Zero Strategy Gaming family, uh, our beliefs and our feelings on the subject. And the one thing that I absolutely hate is the term stay in your lane. It is so stupid. When you're talking about, and it, sorry,
It's okay, man.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
such egregious acts that's been going on and affecting people. And then have someone come around and tell you to stay in your lane? Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. It is so heart wrenching the things that have been going on. And for people to say, keep your mouth shut, you don't know what you're talking about. This is my lane is a person seeing things happen.
Yeah.
It's, it's so hard. And hard for me. I mean, it's like and frustrating because it's like hard for me. I mean, just like Dr. Lupo and Grok said, like me too, straight white dude. Like, what do I have any complaints about? I don't in general in life, but I have eyes. I feel. I can empathize the best I possibly can without having a true understanding and perspective of what's going on. And to see and hear people say stay in your lane pisses me off so fucking much. And our lane as people is to voice what we can when we can. Everyone deserves that. And we should. We should not shy around it. Even if it's frustrating, it makes you emotional, we shouldn't turn our eyes, turn our heads.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
No,
Don't be
Don't be
sorry.
sorry.
Well said. 100%.
Because fundamentally, we're here in the context of talking about streaming and content creation, but we're also just talking about community. Your community starts with your chat, but your community doesn't end with your chat. Um, just recognize that being live, being on Twitter, having a check mark next to your name, whether you don't have a check mark next to your name, all of this gives you a certain amount of visibility that is not available to other people who also have a voice and wish to say something but can't. And I would say if you don't feel comfortable speaking, if you have a hard time putting into words what you feel in your heart because it's not easy to say, or if you feel uncomfortable because you don't feel like you're in a place where you're really you're the best person to talk about it, you can still share resources, you can still share links, you can point people in the right direction, and more than anything, I think that we can call out bad actors in our chats and people who would um, sort of like misdirect the conversation. So anyway, just wanted to, yeah.
No, I'm really glad that we can talk about it. Like you say, obviously it's an issue we all are very, as content creators, kind of used to trying to keep everything, away from potentially controversial topics and things like that. But I think, like you say, sometimes you just have to use it. And I'm very glad we were able to have this moment on the podcast because, like, it's nice to be able to talk about something more meaningful. We can talk about bots and emotes all day, but I'm very glad we were able to do this. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of yeah. Basically, let's just end it. We're gonna go raid someone. Listen, links are in the chat if you want to go and follow any of these people. I definitely recommend it. We are here on Twitch almost every weekend. The podcasts go up on Spotify, YouTube, all that great stuff. So do make sure and check those out. Thank you very much for talking with us. Again, if you are listening, come by the stream, ask us questions, talk to us. Look after yourselves. Keep safe. We love you. And we will see you in the streams. So, yeah, thank you guys. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.